Oh, wow, 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 dude. Alright, are we on yet? Sorry, just excuse me for a minute. Alright, looks like we're on, so... Alright, now. Sorry, frog in my throat. Alright, now. Shadow of the Arcana, the towers. This is, the fourth one. I mean, the Arcanas are not really in any particular order. I didn't write them that way, unfortunately. I should probably go back and change that sometime. Alright, now, Number 4, the Architect of Death, which is the Shadow of the Towers Arcana. Alright, now. It's like representative of the reverse, Towers of Arcana. Yenny, thank you for subscribing! You really didn't have to do that, but thank you. Alright, now, this being resembles a great wall of many destroyed faces on it, each brick having a wheel connected to it, and it moves to build various things in various forms according to its will. Whose complete form looks like a tower, ruined, broken, clean as ivory. Alright, whoops. Sorry, come on now. And oozing with black eldritch slime with eyes and tentacles that sees and controls various forms that it builds for itself, made of the same distorted eldritch brick. Once the Architect of Death, before he was known as such, was something that was in charge of cultivating the world and seeding the earth and even offering his input on things that the goddess creation wished to make, and herself being full of curious experimentation. However, he was a gasper at what it was for. A world whose people who would be different from the celestial world, with their own power, their own laws, their own culture, their own dreams, their own desires, that they themselves would be the architect of, especially with the power of tulpomancy the goddess gave to create after themselves. Now, hey, Pass, what's up? No, thank you. Alright, now, hey, Pass, what's up? Welcome on in. Alright, now. Yeah, you gotta remember, tulpomancy is like a big thing in the lore, yeah. Yeah, it's basically how people like yours truly were made. Although, I'm kind of born of a tulpa descendant, which is, kind of slightly different. Well, it's basically a descendant of things that were originally, made from tulpomancy, and I was, and my mom also married a human being, so... Anyway, back on track, okay? The Architect of Death saw it all and hated it, and because it was so different from his own world and how it was made, and what its values were. Hey, Annabelle. Hi, Shrimpy. Annabelle here to tease us again. Alright, now. And now it's made and what its values were. He even tried to play with the goddess to make it linear, to make it something that could be controlled, not to change what he saw as order, and not to make them what he thought was chaos and sin in his eyes. The goddess, however, refused to. Oh, no, we got an ad break. No, Past. Alright, Annabelle may be a femboy, but Past, you are shrimp pasta, okay? Alright, now, come on, ad break, come on, give me, please, in. The goddess, however, refused to do so, not out of her pride, or from a firm order. She'd offer an explanation, told when told why, she wanted, her creation to be dynamic, free, for humanity to become the creators in their own right, and wanted them to decide for themselves what to make and what to build after what they value. The Architect of Death, however, thought he didn't show it at first. Despised this, after all, his world and its values, its orders, they were perfect, flawless in his eyes. And the goddess of creation wanted these mortals to make things after themselves and build what they wished. Madness, heresy, he thought in his own eyes. Alright, now. And after the Muse of Darkness' scheme, he felt justified when the human psyche warped their hearts. When the human psyche was warped in their hearts and minds due to opening the box of evils, which kind of infected the human psyche and also their tulpa creations, but the great evils. When it contaminated their contations, it brought forth darkness and chaos and violence and suffering. He felt that this kind of thing needed a little push to be brought in to basically bring human creations and complete another ruin, as well as humanity itself, which is why he manipulated every flaw he could, led many to do that were mighty yet full of greed and ambition, and pushed humanity to what he believed what he believed was just their inherent inferior nature at being revealed under the weight of both suffering and desperation, as well as greed and cruelty. He would be the architect to bring the world's demise about by any means necessary. When civilization advanced too far, too close to too many secrets, asked too many of the wrong questions, it must be purified and set right and built to collapse intentionally. Yeah, we got that. All right now. So basically, he's like, taking advantage of all the flaws unleashed by the box of evils to kind of just push it a little bit so that, everything falls down. Because, if you guys are familiar with Crucius, right? Till Symphonia and how they trade, the two worlds. It's kind of a little like that, yeah. A little like Crucius, I mean. If I had to, be a little bit honest. That's kind of how I came up with it. By the way, thank you, Pathogen, for lurking. Also, Annabin is a femboy and also passes a shrimp. You guys are both arguing things, that are both true for you for each other. Alright now. Alright now, let's get back to the story. It would go on for a while until the architect known as the Dungeon Maker would offer the world hope and build a world where the architect of death thought it was advancing too close to his perfection and tried to destroy the Dungeon Maker's work and as well as the Dungeon Maker himself, but the Architect of Death would awaken the Dungeon Maker's Dungeon Maker as the Dark Lord successor, and it would be the Architect of Death's undoing. Alright, that's part of a different, timeline. The Dungeon Maker is known as the Architect, and, they're kind of different from the Architect of Death. Yeah, the Dungeon Maker dude, he kind of saved a hero before, and he kind of started building started building dungeons to basically protect a whole bunch of treasures and all that. Sort of like how Zelda dungeons are made, for different civilizations to kind of protect the keys, to, special artifacts from greedy hands, basically. Yeah, and the Architect of Death, saw that and was like, no, that's, advancing too far, and that's getting in the way of, what I want. So I might as well just make it collapse. And that's how he tried to, destroy the Dungeon Maker, but that ended very poorly for him, because he ended up getting destroyed instead. Yeah, it's sort of like how the towers, collapse. Sort of like the towers get collapsed and, they get restored. Alright now. By the way, Past is a shrimp and, Annabin is a femboy, yeah. That's what I gotta say to you two. You two arguing in the comment section. I see you over there. I see you arguing over there. You're both cute. Past, you're a shrimp and pasta. And Annabin's a cute, adorable tsundere femboy. Those are just the facts. Okay? You're not allowed to dispute them. Oh, Goblin Fia's on. Alright now. Let's go say hi to Goblin Fia. That tickling is just me punishing Annie. It's not like I would rather not bug Annie because she would do it. She could do it more positivity. Oh, yeah. Well, alright now. I could use more positivity, but you're free to bonk me if you want. You're free to bonk me and, check me if you want. In fact, I kind of like it. a bit like, Maple in that one, Shield Girl anime about that video game where, she maxes out her defense. It's sort of like that a little bit. You guys know what I'm talking about? Alright, let's go rate Goblin Fia, okay? By the way, that one Shield Girl anime, it's pretty good, yeah. I recommend it. I mean, it's not super serious or anything, but, pretty fun. A bit like how campfire cooking is pretty fun. I mean, campfire cooking may be, isekai, but, it's pretty fun isekai. Anyway, I'll see you later. Goodbye.